So far in 2025, we have talked a lot about Dylan Cruz and his struggles. We've talked a lot about this Nationals bullpen, but one guy in particular who had a very good 2024 season has kind of taken a step back. Is that for real or not real?
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I am your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as our show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, make sure to check us out over on Twitter. And of course, look up Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's on Apple, Spotify, and of course, the video version over on YouTube. You can check that out. Just look up Locked On Nationals and hit that subscriber button, please. Later on in today's show, we'll be previewing the Beltway series. This is one of my favorite times. We're in the most best series of the year, if we're being honest. It's a little in-town rivalry with Washington and Baltimore. And let's be honest, I think this Beltway series and kind of the rivalry behind it could be in the rearview mirror. We'll discuss that later on in today's program. In the second segment, MASN, a big reason as to why the Nationals and the Orioles have had beef in the past. They have announced something that I think is huge for consumers. And also, it might mean something for the Nationals, and they might be staying on MASN in 2026 and beyond. We'll discuss that. After we, of course, have to talk about some baseball news here with Luis Garcia Jr. He's been struggling, but is 2025 right now considered a setback? I'll tell you all about that after we tell you about today's episode sponsor, which is FanDuel. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Let's jump into this now with Luis Garcia Jr. Luis Garcia Jr. is coming off statistically being one of the best offensive second basemen in all of baseball in 2024. And that was a breakout that a lot of people were expecting in the organization, and then a lot of people hope for. Well, Luis Garcia Jr. now, fast forward to the first 3 to 4 weeks of this season, he has been struggling a ton so far up the big league level. If you look at his numbers, he's got an OPS south of 600. He's barely batting above 200 at this point, and he's not hitting for any power whatsoever. I'm afraid. I'm not like calling the alarms for this season and being like, Luis Garcia Jr., you should have traded him this offseason and all that. I'm not going to get all gloom and doom with you right now. But I will say it's pretty clear and obvious that he has fallen back into his old habits of chasing bad pitches. If you look at Luis Garcia Jr.'s production over the past few seasons, you've seen a steady incline, and then last year having that big breakout. What went into that? We've always talked about Luis Garcia Jr., and the pros of him is that he's not going to strike out and he's going to put the ball in play. But if you look deeper into it, some of the struggles here is that he has terrible discipline at the plate, awful discipline. He chases a ton of pitches, and when he's at his worst, he's chasing pitches that are like curveballs in the dirt, and you're like, why are you swinging at that? And when he does swing at that, he swings out of his shoes. It's a very common theme with young major league hitters. In this season, while the chase has been pretty bad yet again, it's in the 9th percentile as we sit here today. His exit velos are also down. He's simply not squaring up the baseball, just to name a few. I think that could probably be a little bit of a fluke here. But if you kind of look at his swing and look at his spray chart so far this season, pitchers have been pitching him in a pretty unique way. Luis Garcia Jr., he is not taking balls the other way. He is not utilizing the other side of the field. He has been trying to pull a lot of pitches, and again, he is simply not using the left side of the infield and the outfield there. He has to get back into his best way, of which he was spraying the ball the other way and pulling balls that should be pulled down the line. Luis Garcia Jr. has not done that up to this point. And if you kind of look into it, when he was bad in 2022, when he was bad in 2023 and got sent down that year, those were the habits that he was kind of trying to fix. And last year, you saw a complete 162 game slate of him not doing that. And lo and behold, you had a very good second baseman there. Luis Garcia Jr., I think last year was real. Like, I think Garcia can be that player every single season. But he does have flaws. And they're pretty big, by the way. Like, he is a good quality second baseman, defensively speaking. He can typically make the routine plays and a flashy play here and there. He was a former shortstop who made the transition pretty seamlessly over to second base. But don't get this wrong. He is a premier offensive guy. He is there to be good offensively. And so far, he has not been that. And again, for those reasons why. This is a very typical thing with Nationals hitters right now. Chasing pitches out of the zone. It's a very common theme here in DC for whatever reason. Keibert Ruiz has done that in years past, and that's when you've seen really bad numbers. Luis Garcia Jr., Dylan Cruz at times this season. You've seen it. We all know what it's like. It has not been a very good start for Luis Garcia Jr., and for all those reasons listed above. So am I concerned for his 2025 outlook? I'm not, because again, he has shown me a full season of consistent, really good baseball here. I think he is just in a slump at this point, which is fine. You can be in a slump. You're a major leaguer. But also, if let's say it's mid-July and Luis Garcia Jr. is continuing to chase a ton of pitches and not putting out his best at-bats, then I think people can question the future of it. Because again, while we talk about this piggy bank here, you put enough pennies into that piggy bank to where you have a little bit there deposited. Luis Garcia Jr. has more negative seasons than he does have positive. And while he is still young, being 24, 25 years old, you still have to consider that. He has shown at times that he can be a great player. But he also has shown at times that he is a very inconsistent player. And right now, we're getting the inconsistent side of it. So he's going to have to get back on track here because, again, the Nationals, you've got some middle infielders. You've got Seaver King, where we don't really know where he fits up in the bigs eventually, but he's going to be in that conversation. You've got some guys to pick number one in the draft this year. I believe there's a guy, Arquette, from Oregon State, that a lot of people have been talking about. He's a second baseman there. And also, you can fill that gap in free agency and maybe move off of Luis Garcia Jr. But there are real things to really consider here for the Nats. And I do think at this point in time, it's too early to really judge this season. But if he does not get it back on track, there will be questions, and they're warranted in my opinion. Before I move on to get into the MASN deal, I didn't talk about this yesterday. Yesterday was a loaded show talking about all things Nationals from the weekend after a wild trip to Coors Field. But Cade Cavalli made his first rehab assignment in Fredericksburg. He's got 30 days now to be put back on the Major League roster. He's probably not going to get on the Major League roster. They're probably going to use an option to get him down in AAA unless some injuries really start to pop up here. As we've seen Michael Soroka, who's expecting to make a rehab start relatively soon. You've also got Josiah Gray coming back late in the summer. So you've got some guys, and also you've got some injuries right now. But Cade Cavalli looked really good. Number one, the one thing I was really looking for is where his velocity was at. Eric Bach, the play-by-play man for the Fredericksburg Nats, he had him sitting at 96 to 98 for that entire start. He went 4 innings pitched for Fredericksburg, struck out 3 guys, only walked 2 batters, only gave up that 1 hit. But again, throw the numbers out the window. This is his first time competing since I mean, he did have a start last year in Wilmington, but he was sitting 96 to 98, going up against single A guys. That is what I want to see from Cade Cavalli. Seeing that velo still up there, that's a great thing here for the Nats. And you're going to need that as this time goes forward. So it was great to see Cade Cavalli get back out there. And I think he could be on the right track to hopefully making his second major league start in just a handful of years. So hopefully Cade Cavalli stays on the right track. But overall, good start for the former first-round pick out of Oklahoma in 2020. So next, let's talk about this MASN deal. I think this is huge. I don't know about you guys, but I don't have cable. I've had to do a lot of workarounds in order to watch Nationals baseball, and now you can finally watch it if you don't have cable. I'll tell you all about that after we tell you about some of our very good friends over at FanDuel. And of course, the NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. And right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. And I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or driving into player props, because I can tell you this, Steph Curry going up against the Houston Rockets, I'm going 3-pointers for him all day long. I'm taking the over on the points, over on 3-point attempts, and also Draymond Green over rebounds. He takes over when it counts most in the playoffs. I can tell you this much. It makes it a lot more fun to watch those games when you have our friends over at FanDuel. So don't miss out and head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Again, don't miss out and head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. And thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So yesterday, the Mid-Atlantic Sports Network, they have gotten into the year of 2025. MASN is here. MASN now has a streaming option for people who do not have cable. And for those who do not know, those who are out of market and maybe watch just MLB TV, you can't buy MLB TV and watch it locally. It is blacked out here for whatever reason. Major League Baseball still lives in like the 1990s with this. It's ridiculous. But now you can now watch a streamed game on MASN Plus, an app that they have now launched. It is here. It is ready to use. It is a $19.99 a month for that pass, or you can have $89.99 for the full season pass, in which you can watch all the Orioles games and all the Nationals games, all on a streaming option. And MASN, I thank you for this, because this is one of those things where you should have had this years ago. Years ago. It has never made sense to me with the way that TV deals are now. It's never done that, and it really should not. Because again, going into TV deals and where we are now with the regional sports networks, it's all going to come to a crashing end here. And we understand that. But with where we are, you would think that MASN, and in particular Major League Baseball, would want to have all eyes on this product. Make it as easy and seamless as possible for all Major League customers out there. They just have not. In MASN in particular, they have really dropped the ball on this as the years have gone on. But I think that this is finally a move that is good for the consumer. It's good for the brand. And guys and people out there just like me who do not have cable and have to do those workarounds to watch your Nationals, you can now watch it on your phone. You can stream it on your laptop and stream it on your TV. Well done, MASN. You have finally entered the 2000s, and this is past due again. I cannot say that enough, but they finally have done the right thing. And it finally feels as if that I can now watch my team without worrying about some cable blackout, without worrying about going to this bar to make sure they have the Nationals game on, without figuring out some random stream that we all know you can't use, but we all do it. And you finally have that opportunity. and they have taken it. So MASN, you're going to get my money, and you've already gotten my money because, again, $19.99 for a month for this thing. Sign me up for it. I cannot wait to watch tonight with the Beltway series starting. That we'll preview a little bit later on in the show today. But I do want to talk about this real quick. Dylan Cruz. The Nationals, we all know, it has not been the prettiest start for Dylan Cruz, the former number 1 overall prospect in baseball. But you got to acknowledge this. You needed a big weekend at Coors Field, and that's exactly what he did. Over his last 5 games, if you look at it, really good performances so far. Number 1, finally hitting a couple home runs, 2 home runs in his first game at Coors Field on Saturday. That was a big key for me. I wanted to see some more power, and he got that right here and there for the Nationals in order to get to a 12-11 victory, which should not have been 11 runs by the Rockies. But we all know what happened. You got Sims and you got Pochade. So that's whatever at this point. But still, you talk about Dylan Cruz. We talk about the struggles. I've talked about how I want Davey Martinez to help him out in this lineup, and you finally do that. You push him up in the order, give him a little bit of protection there, and of course, what happens? You get a better product. So in the last 5 games, really, number 1, he's on a little bit of a hot streak here. He's had hits in each of his last 5 games. He's had a multi-hit game on Saturday where he had 3 hits, 2 of those being home runs, and he had that double as well. On Sunday's game, I believe it was the first one of 2. He had a triple that was robbed from him. And now all of a sudden, Dylan Cruz is starting to heat up here with the season getting in swing here. Dylan Cruz, I've never been concerned about his hit tool. I've never been. And I think a lot of Nats fans in general probably haven't been either. But if you look at kind of the things that really stick out for him and really what has gone wrong with Dylan Cruz is he has not been able to really get many opportunities to hit the ball and drive it. So if you look back to even all the way into the Dodgers series, his last 10 games now, he is batting .263, a .447 slug, and a .747 OPS. If you give me that slash line at the end of this season, this is a success for Dylan Cruz. The early season struggles of him striking out all the time, I would like to think that's behind us. And he's still batting sub 200. He still has an OPS at .505. It's still not the best product out there. It's still not the best version of Dylan Cruz. But to start the season in his first 5 games to go hitless, and in those first 5 games, I mean, it was bad. Really, really bad. Again, just to reiterate it, he had 18 at-bats in his first 5 games of this year, and 10 of those came in strikeouts, only walked once. Like, it was a really poor product in those first 5 games. But as we said, his last 10 games, number 1, the strikeouts have really fallen off, which is a must for Dylan Cruz at this point. He's only struck out 5 times in his last 10 games. I think now for the people who were making the argument earlier this year that I think a lot of us were making, by the way, I think it's a realistic one, that he was just in this weird slump because he had a good spring training. He put up good numbers. He was playing really good defensively also. But to begin the year, he seemed lost, and he was lost. But it finally seems as if he's getting back on the right track. Riding a 6-game hit streak right now. He's finally getting hot. And this seems to be the version of Dylan Cruz that we all expected to get when you drafted him number 2 overall. Don't get it twisted. The Nationals, if they're going to have success, you're going to have James Wood be great, which he has been great. You're going to have a healthy C.J. Abrams, and he also needs to be great, and he has been great when he's healthy. And then you're also going to have a very good Dylan Cruz. For the people out there who may have just kind of crumbled up this paper and threw this season away, I think it's a little bit too early at this point. But when you have Cruz clicking on all cylinders, then the Nationals will be pretty good offensively if James Wood is healthy and hitting the ball, and if C.J. Abrams is healthy and hitting the ball also. And with the fast start that Keibert Ruiz has, he's slowed down a little bit. But if you get Keibert Ruiz back up and swinging it, You have Luis Garcia Jr. getting out of this slump also that we talked about and what's got to change for him. Nationals, offensively speaking, they'll be in good hands. So let's hope for the best. But Dylan Cruz, he's looked like a new man to begin this latter half of April. So we'll discuss that and much more on tomorrow's show. But now let's get into the Beltway series. It's one of my favorite ones of the year. We'll discuss that and preview that after this. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So as we were saying, one of my favorite series of the year is when the Orioles come down to Nationals Park and you just have a big old family feud, because we all know this in the DC area in particular. There is a nice mix of Orioles fans. And up in Baltimore, you can say the same about Nats fans also. It's an area that is, while it is very divided with Maryland and Virginia and DC in the mix, it is a fun rivalry. But with that said, the rivalry isn't really like a bitter rivalry like it once was. When the Angelos were owning the Orioles and they're holding back money from MASN and the Nationals, this amount of money, it seemed as if that, number one, there was no end in sight. Well, fast forward a few years later, and all of a sudden the Nationals and the Orioles, they're now doing exhibition games with each other. They're poking fun at each other, and MASN is now handled, and all that is in the rear view. That's all fun. But now you just get this regional rivalry, and I think that's pretty cool. It's a unique thing here. It's the Beltway series, Battle of the Beltways, whichever you want to call it. And this is always a fun series to look ahead to. Because again, your next door neighbor could be an Orioles fan, or your next door neighbor could be a Nationals fan. You never really know. So it's always a fun series because, again, people in the DC area before their Nats were here, you were Orioles fans. If you were just a baseball fan in general, you probably rooted for the Orioles because they were the local team. And it's not that far of a drive to go up 45 minutes to Camden Yards, which, by the way, is still one of the most beautiful yards in all of baseball. So the Beltway series is always one that I look forward to. And by the way, both these teams, they need wins. The Orioles are coming off like a 24-2 defeat against the Cincinnati Reds at home against the Reds, who are a decent team, but nothing to be that proud of. You give up 24 runs in 9 innings against a pretty poor Reds team. They need a win. And by the way, they have been one of the most disappointing teams so far this season. I think we all kind of follow baseball here. And if you don't worry, I'm going to catch you up to speed here. You know, we talk about this Nationals bullpen. They've been terrible, really bad. Well, Orioles fans, they talk about their starting rotation the way that we talk about our bullpen. The Orioles rotation is awful to begin the year. And luckily for the Nationals, it has been pretty solid. And right now, you're going to get 2 of your top 3 guys this season. Tonight, you've got Mitchell Parker on the bump for the Nats. You have to feel good about where he is. Going up against Gunnar Henderson, a lefty there, a switch hitting with Adley Rutschman, who I feel as if is better from the left side of the plate. So you're going to be getting a righty version of Adley Rutschman, and I think that plays well for you. And then tonight, for the Orioles, you've got Dean Kramer going on the bump. Dean Kramer has been awful for the Orioles this year. He's coming off a season in which he was pretty good, but overall, you thought he would be better this season. It has not been the case so far. Orioles fans are up and rioting over the starting rotation right now, and it's a bad one. Tomorrow, you've got a right-handed pitcher, Tomoyuki Sagano. I'm sorry if I butchered that name here, but he was one of their guys they signed overseas this offseason. 35 years old. He has been by far and away their best starting pitcher, and he's barely got a sub-4 ERA. He's good, but he's hittable. And teams in the past, they put the ball in play against him, and he's not going to pile up a bunch of strikeouts. I think that always fares well for a team like the Nats, who do put the ball in play and who, well, you would like to see them put the ball in play a little bit more. They've had strikeout problems this early on this season. But still, the character of this team in DC is you have guys like Ruiz, Garcia, Cruz, Abrams, Wood, who do put the ball in play pretty often. But then you've got Trevor Williams going for the Nats tomorrow. That's where it can get a little bit dicey in game 2. But then you have your stud, Mackenzie Gore, on the bump, going up against their young, unproven left-handed pitcher, Cade Povich, who has been rocked around this season. I was looking at this series from a 30,000-foot view a few weeks ago and saying, well, the Orioles are still, by the way, the better team on paper. But number 2, they have a terrible rotation. This is going to go well for the Nationals if you can get rid of that offensive slump that we have seen recently. So this could be a very good series for the Nationals. Just think of it this way. If the Nationals, simple as this, if you put the ball in play, we could be talking about a team that sweeps the Orioles, who are 9-12 so far in this young season, and the Nats are 9-13. You can be talking about a team that sweeps the Orioles, send them back up to Baltimore, and then, of course, you have got a very good possibility of the Nationals being a good team and talking about a very good series yet again at home. The Orioles, they're going to have to get back on track to really try to get things going here. But their starting pitching, it has been awful. So take the over on the hits tonight with our friends at FanDuel. I can tell you that much. It's going to happen. Enjoy the series tonight. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.